suddenly caused resonance among all items when I was choosing between them, startling everyone present. It should be noted that even the top genius in the family has only awakened one talent, but I have awakened 4 talents. This is simply a peerless genius in the family. Even my father said helplessly, it seems that I have to teach him all 4 talents. In my previous life, I was the most outstanding swordsman in the Draenic Empire. As a war orphan who was sent into the battlefield at 14 years old, I had developed my mana core at an early age, raising my movements and senses to a level that couldn't compare to before. At only 18 years old, my magical power kept surpassing the limits to 4 cores, making me the most potential candidate to become a Hexa-class knight in the Empire. I thought my life was about to take a significant turn, but then I encountered a Hexa-class knight from the Althean Empire, known as the Black Wave, Duke Balthermion. In front of his formidable strength, I seemed utterly weak. It's a pity. If you were willing to surrender, you could have gotten stronger with your talent. That's impossible. I was born on the battlefield, and this is where I'll die as well. That's a shame. You could have been a great rival if you were able to grow more. The Duke suddenly attacked me. We clashed blades one last time. The Duke had blasted me away, and my sword shattered as a result. And with a thrust, he pierced through my chest. What a shame. I wanted to reach higher. I wanted to create a family. Thus, the battle genius fell here. But then, when I opened my eyes again, I found myself reincarnated as a member of Encount's family in the Althean Empire. At this moment, my parents were discussing my future career. Dane, you must follow in my footsteps and become a great spearman just like your father. What are you saying? Dane will become a fantastic assassin like myself. A man should use a spear, but hiding in the darkness and being unnoticed is cooler. Since I am their youngest child, they probably hope I will take their place. Moments later, we finally returned home, looking at such a harmonious scene. Such a family is really nice. Maybe I can fully utilize my talents now. 2 months later, my father, in high spirits, brought a spear in the baby room. To this, I just felt very helpless. Although my father usually seems careless, he is the Empire's strongest Hexa-class spearman, Arkan Sogers, known as the Blue Whirlwind War Hero. Meanwhile, my mother was the Empire's best assassin, Lily Sogers. I told you, no early education. After getting to know the family for almost 2 months, I finally understood why my parents were so persistent about my future career. It turns out that both of my sisters chose paths unrelated to spearmanship and assassination. At this moment, my sister is showing me her magic, Arabella Sogers. Born with great magic power, she has been on the path of a mage since childhood. At 12 years old, she was already a 3-chain mage, since the highest class of mage was 9-chain. Calling her a genius among geniuses is not an overstatement. Dane, study magic with me in the future. Summoning is also pretty good. Claire, my other older sister, is a very excellent summoner, having successfully performed summoning at 7 years old, and now she can handle 2 summons at once at such a young age. Dane, it might be fun if you also learn summoning with me. Unexpectedly, everyone wants me to learn their abilities. My father, the Hexa-class spearman. My mother, the former top assassin. My eldest sister, the genius mage. My second eldest sister, the genius summoner. The house of the Count Sogers was the perfect noble family, the ideal family that I had imagined. It makes me wonder if taking revenge in this new life would even have any meaning. My family bickered, but I am glad I was reborn here. There exists one special ceremony in House Sogers, the choosing ceremony. When a Sogers child turns 1 year old, objects will be placed in front of them. Based on the chosen object, the people try to predict the child's future. This ceremony was actually a great event with many spectators. Here, Dane, you just have to choose the one you like. But I felt incredibly conflicted about this, for the selection of items were invaluable. Dragon Tail, made from a rare ore that can be magically made sharper. A mystical spear that my father had spent his entire life with. Night Horn, created with an ore that can hold all the world's elements. A dagger that can store and combine multiple poisons, especially procured by my mother. A subspace pouch, which can store many objects inside despite its size. My eldest sister urged me to choose her subspace pouch. Lastly, a summon sigil. Summoners use this to call upon their summons. My second eldest sister silently hoped we can fly on her dragon summon if I became a summoner like her. Everyone wants me to choose their item. So, I decided right then, I'll make my choice based on people's reactions. I slowly crawled towards those 4 items. As everyone watched me intently, the next second, all 4 items in front of me suddenly emitted a golden glow. This meant that I had talent in all 4 paths. This startled everyone present. 4 items all reacted. It looks like the young master is a generational genius. Even I was incredibly shocked. My talents in this life are on a completely different level. Father, what should we do now? I can hardly believe it myself. Then, do we need to teach him all 4? My sisters were shocked, but I was overjoyed. 6 years later in the training room of the castle. Dane, you are excellent. It seems you have mastered all the techniques I taught you last time. Thank you, father. By this time, I was already turning 7 years old. Then, Herman, our butler, approached with a black spear. I was originally planning to give this to you on your birthday birthday party, but I wanted to give it to you earlier than your mother. This is a weapon specially prepared by the capital's craftsmen for 2 years. Take it, Dane. I wish you a happy 7th birthday in advance. Thank you, father. I'll use it well. The black handle looked great with the silver spearhead, and it was lightweight as well. Do you know what the difference is between a spear and a sword? The spear is longer, making it easier to block an opponent from getting close, and with the fine point of the spear, it has a high attack efficiency. But if it exceeds the standard, the spear becomes harder to use than the sword. That's the fundamental problem of a spear. To attack the enemy, you need at least a certain distance. But you don't need to worry. After all weapons have their strengths and weaknesses. Even the sword, deemed the perfect weapon, becomes weaker under certain circumstances. Understood. I will keep that in mind. Next, just watch closely, as I will perform a technique for you. My father suddenly activated his magic power. The mere release exerted an immense oppressive force. Focusing on his spear, he thrusted forward, releasing a blinding light. The space distorted at the tip of the spear. My father simultaneously emitted his magic power while thrusting the spear, using a technique which utilizes the trait of a core that focuses magic power in one place. I was somewhat familiar with this, as my sisters had mentioned that with the enhancement of the mana core, humans can exhibit abilities beyond physical limits. It looks like you have studied these well. You should know, your father here has 6 mana cores. Upon hearing this, I was truly impressed. If I hadn't died in my previous life, perhaps I could have reached this level as well. Why don't you give it a try? Calm your mind and focus your thoughts on the spear. Yes, father. In my previous life, I only used the spear as a secondary, but this time is different. I immediately assumed the proper stance. It took me 7 years to get this technique right. I wonder how Dane will do with his talent. At that moment, my father showed an incredibly shocked expression. His technique was perfectly replicated by me. The space shattered at the tip of the spear. Dane, how did you do it? You are truly astounding. I just concentrated the magic power at the tip of the spear at the moment I thrusted it. Then I cut off the magic right when it reached the tip. You imbued magic and even controlled the flow? Dane, have you already formed a mana core? Yes, I formed a mana core following the method described in the book. Though, in reality, I have been doing mana breathing in order to form it. Our family has truly given birth to a genius. Dane, you will surely become an extraordinary warrior. Will my son really become a mage spearman assassin summoner? Today is my 7th birthday. Unexpectedly, the Duke from the Althean Empire has also come here. It's been a long time. Arkin, Duke Bout, have you been well? The two of them talked like they were old friends. Duke Bout Thermion, the head of the Thermion Duchy, is of the greatest house of the Althean Empire. By the way, where's the birthday boy? My father immediately called me over to greet our guest. To think I would meet the man who killed me in my previous life here of all places. I am Dane Sogers. It's a pleasure to meet you, Duke. Although I was somewhat angry to see him, I still greeted him politely. You really have a dependable son. So, is he now learning spearmanship under your guidance? At that moment, a figure approached our conversation. Count Sogers, greetings. This was Layla Thermion, the Duke of Thermion's youngest daughter. It is an honor to meet you. After Layla greeted us, the party continued as my father and the Duke talked. How has your wife been feeling lately? We're searching and trying many methods, but there hasn't been any progress yet. If I suddenly disappear, please understand, as I might have used a scroll to quickly return to the capital. But speaking of which, where did those 2 kids go? I wanted to talk more with Dane, the clever fellow. Just then, the Duke noticed 2 figures outside the window. It seems the children have grown tired of the banquet. Meanwhile, Layla started chatting with me. She seemed very tired of her home, as many nobles and royal family members visited her father every day, and she had to greet them in a dress each time. By contrast, she preferred wearing regular clothes and practicing swordsmanship better. Her mention of swordsmanship had piqued my interest. So what about you? I actually quite like this place. It's not as busy as the capital, but I look forward to my spear training every day. So, are you training hard in order to get admitted to the academy? After all, getting into the academy is not easy. I'm not particularly training for that reason. I'm training in order to be even better once I enter the academy. But what if you can't get into the academy? Then I'll just try again next time. But if I fail again, then I'll have to accept that the academy is not my path. Hearing this, Layla expressed great envy. After all, my family does not allow failures. I don't really understand why you would think like that. I'm sure you'll do well yourself. You think so? How about you take a look at my swordsmanship? Seeing her sincere expression, I agreed. I took her to the training ground. She displayed her swordsmanship very proficiently. Overall, the transitions between offense and defense were very natural, and she timed her attacks well. However, after a while, she gets off rhythm. How is my swordsmanship? Of course, your performance is very good. However, starting from your 3rd form, your foot always moved forward half a step. Because of that, subsequent forms were slightly out of alignment. Hearing this, Layla was immediately petrified. Perhaps I was a bit too blunt. So that was it. The next second, she demonstrated her swordsmanship skillfully once again. Yes, this is the missing piece to the puzzle. The improvement in the technique was evident. Thank you so much, Dane. You were very observant. Thanks for your help. I will remember this. We heard voices calling out for us, and we realized it was our time to return. Congratulations on forming your mana core, and happy 7th birthday, Dane. My mother handed me a gift. It was a brooch with the family emblem. Take good care of it. it. Dane, this brooch now symbolizes your identity and honor. Then, everyone present expressed their blessings to me. But suddenly, a massive rumbling was heard. The guests started to panic thinking it was an enemy attack. I'm sure you can guess who and what it is. Dane. Just then, a magic circle appeared on the ceiling, releasing countless bolts of lightning. Afterward, a figure descended from the magic circle. Your big sister isn't late, right? She just used a 5-chain teleportation magic. I didn't expect our young lady to be such a genius. Just when I thought it was over, the next second, everyone began looking out the window. Isn't that a flying wyvern? This time it's Lady Claire. Looks like I still arrived a step late. Sister Claire came inside the hall and the guests also talked about her. She's only 16 and she can control a wyvern. Truly a genius summoner. Both sisters expressed their birthday wishes to me and then both handed me gifts. When I opened the gift from my eldest sister, it turned out to be a dimensional pouch. More accurately, it was infused into a ring. Yeah, I designed this ring myself. My professor used the highest chain of subspace magic to help create this. By the way, this ring was designed based on your genetic code, so no one but you can use it. The ring glinted. At that moment, my sharp-eyed mother noticed the small waves of mana emanating from the ring. This must be made from the highest grade of magic stone. As long as you channel mana into the ring, the subspace will manifest. Seeing this, I immediately expressed my gratitude to my elder sister. After all, in my previous life, only noble commanders and prestigious mages could use such an item. I never thought I would be able to use something like this now. I slowly channeled magic into the ring, and the next second, the subspace appeared before everyone. Everyone was incredibly shocked. Even my eldest sister couldn't believe it. You opened the subspace faster than I did? You really are a genius. Dane, open my gift as well. Yes, thank you. A delicate, small egg was revealed. Be careful with it. It's not just a normal egg. Sister Claire came close to whisper. It's a familiar. It appeared when I was manifesting Decaron, my summon. I don't know what will come out of it, but I do know that it is considered incredibly precious. Hearing this, I was immediately shocked. In my previous life, I had heard that familiars, unlike other summoned creatures, can remain in this world forever. Then, my second sister advised me to keep it a secret and to pour my mana into it daily so that it can recognize me as its master. Of course, I will keep that in mind. Now that the blessings have been given, you should all go back and rest early. Meanwhile, I noticed that Layla was looking at us with a sad expression. Could it be that she was preparing to leave? But why does she look so lonely? The following morning, the Duke is walking in the courtyard, muttering to himself, I didn't expect Arkan's daughters to be so outstanding. She's quite the desirable talent, and a good match for our eldest son, who is the best swordsman at the academy. If the two families were to unite, it would create a force even the imperial family could hardly shake. Perhaps I should mention arranging an engagement for our eldest children to Arkan. Just then, the sounds from the training ground caught his attention. Meanwhile, in the training grounds, I was practicing my spear techniques, each move seamless, every strike being deadly. The Duke, secretly watching, was incredibly shocked. This focus and precision are not like a 7-year-old child. From his movements, he seems like a soldier who has experienced countless battles. I had heard he always had great talent, but to be able to confirm it with my own eyes. Hang on, but why is his movement like those of a swordsman? Could he have also learned swordsmanship at this age? Just then, I braced myself. I don't know who you are, but it's best to just show yourself. Hearing this, the Duke resignedly walked into the training room. Dane, I didn't mean to spy on you. It's you, Duke. Dane Sogers, youngest son of House Sogers, greets you. Duke Bout Termion. After the Duke expressed his apologies to me, he appeared especially curious and pondered to himself, you've just finished training, yet your body isn't trembling at all. You couldn't possibly have created a mana core at this age, could you? You handle the spear well. Truly a fine inheritor of Arkan's talent. Hearing this, I immediately expressed my thanks to the Duke. Well done, well answered. The Duke nodded, then mused. Although my son has also been excellent from a young age, he hasn't reached your level of decorum yet. Perhaps I should also consider his marriage. My daughter Layla practices swordsmanship, and you are of similar age. I hope you can become good friends once you enter the academy. To this, I immediately agreed. Just as the Duke was about to leave, he suddenly asked me a question. Dane, have you trained in swordsmanship? This had caught me off guard. It seemed like my old swordsmanship habits had become evident. I've only read some textbooks on it, but never properly trained. Strange, he definitely has the air of an experienced swordsman. But then again, how could someone of his age have experienced battle? Eventually, he did not pursue the matter further and decided to leave. Dane, if you need anything, you can find me in the capital. I would be happy to host you. I have become particularly interested in you. Interested? I mused silently, my heart beating faster. Could he still remember me? The thought of defeating the man who had once defeated me was exhilarating. Bout Thermion, in this life, I will definitely defeat you. Sometime later, Herman suddenly reminded me that it was time to go back. I was a bit surprised, as this guy always appears so quietly. Perhaps he would be more suited to teach me assassination. How is everyone? Busy. Yes, everyone is a bit busy in preparation for tonight's second banquet. Other nobles have already started arriving here. It's already quite a feat that over 30 noble families could make time to come. And yet, I began to wonder where my sisters had gone. They opened a portal back to the academy because their midterm exams are soon. soon, so they couldn't stay. I see. I should take a look at the gifts I received when I get free time. The banquet was long, needing to attend to many guests and nobles. It had made my schedule more packed than usual. Finally, I found a moment to go to the courtyard, finding some solace in the calm garden. While admiring the flowers, I was reminded of my eldest sister's words, that flowers contain the most mana in nature. Should I try to analyze the magic in the flowers? Although I have been diligently practicing, I haven't made much progress in summoning or magic. I don't even know which field I should focus on. It seems having too many talents can also be a problem. Just then, a stream of magic power swept directly over my hand, and I was incredibly shocked. This tiny flower contains a massive rushing mana flow. If this mana flow in nature could be transformed into my own, it could eventually settle inside the body, forming a magic circle. This body has an extraordinarily high affinity for mana. I can even see something that others can only feel with their sixth sense. I noticed that the mana I could only faintly see before is becoming clearer, but then, the magic that was initially concentrated had shattered. Meanwhile, two young nobles got lost in the courtyard. They were stepping on the flowers, venting their dissatisfaction. When they noticed me, they thought I was a servant here and then asked me to show them the way. There is a perfectly good path to walk on. Why insist on trampling these flowers? Do you know who we are? Yeah, the brutes ruining the flower bed. A servant dares to be so rude. We are sons of the Count of Tyran, guests of the house. Count Tyran, he got captured after I defeated him in my previous life. He was an irritating noble. I see the resemblance in their personalities. He kept shouting angrily at me, but then he pulled back his fist for a punch. Reacting immediately, I headbutted him hard, knocking him back on his butt. This guy seriously made my nose bleed. I swear I'll kill you. Go ahead and try. The next second, he launched an attack at me, but his movements were too clumsy for me, and I easily dodged. Judging from his footwork, he must have been practicing summoning or magic. Just then, I noticed the flow of magic from earlier. If I could harness it to my will, I should be able to compress the magic into the shape I want. The magic compressed at the palm of my hand, unleashing it with a blinding blast, sending him flying away. Unfortunately, the flowers was now totally ruined. I'm going to kill you. Heed my call. He suddenly channeled all his magical power. The next second, a giant wolf was summoned from another dimension. So he's a summoner. Genpu, bite that guy's neck off. The giant wolf lunged at me, but I merely glared at it. Instantly, the wolf that was originally red turned blue. At this, the brothers were completely stunned by what they saw. The wolf had become submissive to me, but even I couldn't understand what had happened. But thinking about it now, Sister Claire's summons was always quite friendly. Could it be because my favorability with summons is too high? However, it might also be that this guy is not favorable at all. It's outrageous. A summon betraying its master. Do you want to continue? Brother, we've lost. Let's go. When the brother came to his senses, he realized his younger brother had been so scared that he'd wet himself. You're such an embarrassment. With no other option, he had to leave with his brother. I'll be back soon. You could at least take your summon with you. Later, I contracted Genpu as my summon using the method my sister taught me by overriding the faint original link. Perhaps because of my strong affinity, I completed the summoning very smoothly for my first time. Just then, a voice rang from afar. Is he the one who bullied you guys? The young noble had returned with his father, Tyran. That guy bullied me and Denar, and he even severed my connection with my summon. I am Magar Tyran, head of the Tyran Count family, one of the capital's greatest nobles. So you bullied my sons and even stole his summon? With no hesitation, I affirmed. The guy had gained quite a bit of weight since the last time I met him in my previous life. Peace must have treated him well. Why are you alone here? Who exactly are you? I am the host of this banquet, the youngest son of Count Sogers, Dane Sogers. Upon hearing this, the two of them stood frozen in place. This brat was Dane? Right after I declared my identity, Tyran started scheming in his mind. If I play this right and hold the Count accountable, getting the mining rights will become too easy. You hurt my son and even stole his summon. I must hold Count Sogers accountable for this. Now, lead me to him. Of course, but before that, you must apologize to me. Indeed, I made your son's nose and hurt him, but I did it only in self-defense. Moreover, his summon followed me willingly. I did not steal it away. This guy must be lying. Genpu would never betray me, but Tyran did not agree with his statement, considering he had heard that the Count's second daughter was a genius summoner. It is possible if he had been taught to sever connections. Enough with the explanations. Just take me to Count Sogers now. At that moment, two figures entered the garden. It was Count Sogers and Duke Thermion. The young lord then started to stammer about how things started, but conveniently omitted his own actions. All of a sudden, he headbutted me. I only tried to scare him with my summon, but he stole it and attempted to attack me instead. Watching him lie so effortlessly, I truly worried about his future. My son just wanted to scare him, but he ended up stealing the summon. Isn't that going too far? I can't just take your word for it. After hearing what Dane has to say, I will make a decision. If you're worried about my judgment not being fair, we can have Duke Thermion share his opinion. Damn, why does Thermion have to get involved too? This just made things more complicated. Dane, tell us what happened. While the general sequence of events is mostly accurate, there are some discrepancies from what he said. He stepped on the flowers in the garden, so I asked him to leave that area, but unexpectedly, he grabbed my collar and lashed out at me. Moreover, I personally heard him ordering Genpu to kill me. Also, I did not steal his summon. It was his summon that approached me first. You're not a summoner. How could you make a summon submit to you? It's because the summon and its master did not share a strong bond, so it chose me, someone with naturally high affinity with summons. Since both parties insist on their version, the best way to prove oneself now is through summoning. At that time, the young lord, Digron, could not summon Genpu no matter how he tried. You do this several times a day. How are you unable to now? There's no way he could summon it. Their connection has been severed. Then, it was my turn to perform the summoning. However, father, I needed that guy's sign. A summoner's inherent sign cannot possibly be used by others. According to what you say, even if you lend it to him, he wouldn't be able to successfully summon it. Wouldn't this outcome be more in your favor? Hearing this, Tyron also thought Count Sogers's words made sense, so he let Digron bring out the sign. This terrified Digron. Normally, a summoner's inherent sign cannot be used by others, but now, Genpu has been imbued with my mana, and the sign is just a summoning medium. Therefore, Genpu will surely respond to my summon. Genpu emerged, and even happily licked my face. Everyone present was stunned. Even the Duke found it hard to believe. You said he only practices spearmanship? That's right. I'm not sure where this ability of his came from. Even if it proves the matter with the summon is true, my son was just trying to scare him. That's right. I never intended to kill him. These people just won't give up. At that moment, a voice caught everyone's attention. That guy is lying. It was Layla approaching. What were you saying? He lied? I happened to overhear their conversation when I was taking a walk earlier. Then, Layla told our fathers everything. After hearing the truth, Digron very reluctantly apologized to me. With the current scenario, showing a forgiving side will be more advantageous for me. So, I unhesitatingly accepted his apology. Since Dane has accepted the apology, let's consider the matter resolved. But because you tried to use a summon to harm my son, please take your men and leave my territory now. Otherwise, I will have the soldiers expel you. This shocked Tyron, but he could not do anything but comply. With that, my father turned and walked away with me. The Duke also left with Layla by his side, while Tyron was left with his son, scolding him. Did you really use a mana bullet? Of course, spearmanship, summoning, and now magic. Who else in history has had such powerful talents besides him? And being able to keep his composure in that situation, I'm sure your son will grow into a fine young man. It's too early to tell. We'll have to wait until the child grows up to know for sure. This incident was smoothly resolved thanks to Miss Layla. Your testimony was essential today. Suddenly, the Duke's tone became overly friendly. Since both fathers have a good impression of each other's children, why not discuss their marriage now? Hearing this, my father was so frightened that he made an excuse to escape from there. The Duke, after advising Layla and me to take our time, followed him. Thus, the two of us were left on our own. Moments later, we slowly walked towards the direction of the banquet. Why would a summon betray its master and submit to you? Even I didn't know how to explain this, but Layla thought I was unwilling to reveal the reason. It's not good to keep things hidden, especially when I helped you just now. I'm not hiding anything from you. Didn't I help you with swordsmanship last time? I suppose you're right, but it is true that she was also a big help today. Let's just say that we both helped each other, so we can help each other out one more time. That's a great idea. I want to ask for your help right now. Teach me how to use Mana Bullet. Why do you want to learn this? Because I want to improve quicker. Before entering the academy, I want to form 2 mana course. That would definitely make my mother very happy. Her words had reminded me. The adults kept talking about how Lady Thermion seems to be bedridden. Well, that's a reason I can't refuse. Then let's start tomorrow night. Of course, we'll do it your way. As long as you can feel the fluctuations of magic, the magic bullet isn't a difficult technique. Layla was clearly excited. But Dane, what would you like to ask of me? I had to ponder on this, and didn't give her an answer right away. Moments later, I returned to the banquet, where everyone was buzzing with talk. They had all heard about the Count Tyron's family being driven out, and that I am an incredible summoner. Just then, Baron Opent greeted me. Do you know about the Opent Ridge in the east? I do, sir. It's famous for its grilled trout and sapphires. What a bright young man. Then, he introduced his daughter. Pleased to meet you. I am Sylvia Opent. She then whispered to me, you will inherit the Sogers family in the future, right? I've heard you have many talents, so I'm counting on you in the future, as we might become family. There you are, Dane. Layla suddenly appeared before us. And who is this? However, before I could explain, Sylvia quickly introduced herself. I'm Sylvia Opent, the eldest daughter of Baron Opent. Oh, is that so? I'm pleased to meet you. This familiar aura of menace seems just like my 2 sisters. Girls sure are scary. Then, Layla found an excuse to take me away from there. Sylvia could not do anything but smile reluctantly. It was clear that Sylvia was no match for Layla, and so, I brought Layla to a secret space only I know about. We don't have to worry about anyone disturbing us here. This really is a nice place. Are you sure no one else knows about it? Right, it's a suitable place for training. But speaking of which, have you ever felt mana before? I have felt it, just not yet to the stage of forming a mana core. Let's start with something simple then. First, you need to feel and accept the mana within you. Before you can expel mana, you need to be able to control the mana inside you first. The important part is the imagination. Close your eyes and imagine mana swirling inside of you. Following my instructions, Layla tried to do so, but the result was not ideal. So, I had her focus her attention and try again. Meanwhile, my father was secretly watching everything from the side. I never thought my son would be teaching others now. Suddenly, the Duke appeared behind him. Startled startling my father into a cold sweat. No need to be surprised. Your wife is the top assassin of the empire. Didn't you learn something from her? By the way, even as a lord, you shouldn't be peeping around like this. Peeping? I was only following my son. You too, huh? I followed my daughter here. Then, the two of them hid and secretly observed us. At that moment, I opened a dimensional pouch with a wave of my hand. This is a gift from my eldest sister. Layla was quite envious after hearing this, as her brothers had stopped caring about her since they went to the Magic Academy. The next second, I pulled a mirror out of the dimensional pouch. Instead of imagining out of thin air, it's easier to imagine by looking at your own reflection in the mirror. Hearing this, Layla started to try. Layla must really like your son. She doesn't normally open up like this. That child may seem cheerful on the surface, but she is not so inside. Ever since her brothers went to the academy and her mother lay ill in bed, she has found it hard to open up to others. If that's the case, why are you still so cold towards her? I'm actually doing that on purpose. I was too indulgent with my sons before, and it spoiled them. I'm afraid my daughter will turn out the same. Don't just assume that Layla will also turn out like your other sons. She'll be hurt. You still nag like the old days. This shocked Arkin. But speaking of which, have you thought about sending your son to the capital? If so, how about letting him stay with my family in the ducal castle? Just then, Layla successfully completed her manipulation of the magic, and at that moment, my father gave his answer. If Dane wants to go, I will respect his decision and inform him about your suggestion. Meanwhile, my mother was standing to the side, secretly watching everything. No wonder I couldn't find them, acting so shamefully, but the love they have for their children is evident. I guess I'll pretend I didn't see anything. After Layla had mastered controlling the magic, we were slowly walking towards the direction of the banquet. Thank you, Dane. You are a real genius. This is only the beginning. You'll definitely improve more. I looked back, and it seems my father and the Duke had left us alone now. Dane, you'll go to the academy in the future, right? After all, it gathers all the Empire's geniuses, but I expressed that I currently have no such intention because I can become stronger by training alone. Learning isn't everything. That's where you go to form your noble faction. Forming connections at a young age is essential, but there are things more important than going to the academy right now. There's a pile of books in the library I haven't finished reading, and I still have much to learn from my parents. I'm thinking of going in the future, if I feel like it. You have to tell me if you do, okay? And when you come to the capital, you need to visit my house and I can show you my improvements. Alright, I'll even send a letter if I plan to go to the capital. But when do you plan to tell me your request? When I go to the capital, I will tell you. In the morning, the Duke, with Layla, got into a carriage headed for the capital while I looked at the insignia in my hands, deep in thought. This was a birthday gift from the Duke as he left. The symbols of the Thermion family are revenge, the sword, and the blacksmith. The history of Thermion began with a blacksmith, thanks to whom our empire now has the best forge on the continent. All the empire's weapons are forged in this forge. Of course, I'm aware of this. All the ores in the world can be found there, and all the mystical weapons and artifacts are created in the greatest forge on the continent. If you take this insignia to the forge, they will make a weapon for you. That's something even the imperial family dreams of having. You must grow well to be able to better assist your father. Then, the Duke, along with Layla, turned and left. Are you sad that they've left, Dane? Very much. She was practically my first friend. As I watched their figures receding into the distance, I made a firm resolution. I'll be heading to the capital soon. Before that, take care, Layla. Sitting in the carriage, the Duke was deep in thought. For some reason, every time I see him, I'm reminded of that guy, Ardrick, who in his youth showed prowess beyond a triple-class warrior. If he were still alive, he might have become one of the Hexa-class knights of the Draenic Empire. Dane, I wish to see your grown self soon. A few days later, in my room, I am staring at the familiar egg, lost in thought. Despite infusing it with magic every day, it seems to show no significant change. Perhaps it's too early for it to hatch. By imprinting my mana on the familiar as an egg, essentially, I'll be able to control a summon that can permanently stick around. After infusing the egg with magic again, I put it back in its place. Perhaps thinking it would hatch this early is too greedy of me. Just as I was about to leave for training, the egg made a noise, but upon close inspection, it seemed to be nothing, so I had continued to leave with Herman. The scene changes currently. I am in the training room practicing swordsmanship. Each move flows naturally, and even Herman couldn't help but praise. That's incredible. Master, when did you start practicing swordsmanship? I just wanted to swing it around a little, as expected of the genius, showing great talent even in the sword. I couldn't tell Herman, but because my father has been watching me too closely lately, I haven't had time to practice swordsmanship, but it seems like I haven't lost my edge. Meanwhile, my father had been pondering to himself. From this banquet, he gained much. Most nobles are focusing on the south, and the majority hope to establish good relations with us. After the war, the good climate of the south possesses many resources that nobles covet. However, these are trivial compared to the attention Dane has received. Although the conflict with the Count's eldest son was unexpected, Dane managed to explain the situation so calmly and even proved his talent. He's so mature that sometimes I wish he could be as mischievous as other children his age. It'll be time to go soon for you. My father slowly looked at the spear beside him. Dragontail, let's make him swing you a bit today. As my father entered the training room, he was stunned by the sight before him. He witnessed my impeccable swordsmanship swordsmanship. Why is Dane using a sword? It must be the Duke who said something to him, otherwise, he wouldn't be swinging the sword here after focusing on the spear for so long. But still, he seems quite adept with the sword. The power Dane is displaying is something that those who have trained in swordsmanship all their lives cannot imitate. It must be said, he is also very talented in swordsmanship. Dane, when did you start learning swordsmanship? Unfortunately, I had not noticed my father and totally exposed myself. Actually, I haven't really learned swordsmanship, so it was talent, spearmanship, magic, assassination, summoning, and now swordsmanship. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't believe they could show talent in all these fields. Dane, are you curious about the world outside? What are you saying, father? The world outside our walls. I've come to think that our county is too small for you. It simply cannot contain your talents. Staying here would be a huge loss for you. It seemed my father realized that he could not keep me by his side forever. Honestly, I am curious as well, father. Then next, we need to prepare for your journey. But before that, I brought you something special for today. Do you still remember this? It responded to you when you were just 1 year old. It's Dragon Tail, and I remember it clearly. Try holding it. I never expected this spear to contain such immense power. I must train his spearmanship to perfection. Before you leave, I will train you to master the spear. So, Dane, be ready. One day, this spear will be yours. Until then, grow strong enough to wield it with pride. I will work hard to wield your teachings with pride, father. Then let us start training. Later in the day, I was alone with my thoughts in my bed. I have always been curious about the world outside. In my past life, I lived amidst constant battle. To escape that fate, I would either need to win the war or die in battle. It's hard to imagine what life beyond the battlefield could be like. But now, as Dane, I am different. Although I don't know how the world will receive me, I will have the chance to travel around the world and accomplish anything. I once wanted only to stay within my family to enjoy warmth, but my father changed my mind. So, it's decided. I want to see the outside world. So you've made a decision, son. Mother, your father said you might be conflicted. It looks like he was right. So, are you curious about the outside world? Yes. After all, father said staying here would just waste my talents. I'm sorry, mother, but I want to see the world outside. Of course, I completely understand your feelings. Even if you don't want to, the world will still call for you. So, don't worry about anything. Go do what you want to do, Dane. Even if I leave, I'll return often and tell you everything about my journeys. Thank you, my son. But it looks like I also need to prepare you by teaching you the ways of assassination as well. My parents are giving me special lessons now. Yeah, if I want to go to the outside world, I'll need to get ready. Just after I decided to go see the outside world, time quickly moved to 7 years later. The Sogers County in the southern part of the Alfian Empire. The climate is mild, and the resources are abundant. Under the leadership of Count Sogers, this territory has always been filled with peace and warmth. It seems that an era of peace has finally arrived. In the outskirts of the county, there lies the Forest of the Last Days, an area infused with ancient magic. I am currently carrying out a task assigned by my mother. The direction of the wind is southward. Just now, I saw the Cheryl spider here, so I'll need to head west. There's only 3 hours until the sun sets. I have to get out before then. The most important aspect of assassination is to avoid being caught by the enemy. Within the stipulated time, I must avoid all traps set by my mother and safely escape from this dangerous forest. Taking a deep breath of the man in the air, I start to assimilate with my surroundings. The next second, my mother's trap suddenly appears before my eyes. It's clear that nearly invisible fine lines fill the area, and the trap would activate instantly if touched. However, this is hardly a challenge for me, as I can easily disarm the traps. But just then, a pack of results appeared. Damn, this is troublesome. I wanted to deal with them quickly, but considering that triggering the traps would complicate matters, I decided to leave the area immediately. Running away at top speed, the results followed me recklessly. However, they only managed to trigger the traps. The next second, countless spikes instantly pierced through their bodies. I dealt with them without having to do anything. Suddenly, a results appears in front of me, opening its gaping maw. I swiftly dodged to the side, but then, the results spits out a red liquid. I immediately spin my spear to block it. I can't waste time here. The next second, I burst out all my magical power, and with a thrust, I instantly slay it. Moments later, I finally escaped the forest. Completely exhausted, I felt like I was about to throw up, but suddenly, a presence had appeared, and I immediately took a battle stance. It was you, Mother. Dane, you are truly impressive, completing the task in 3 hours and 30 minutes. You are even better than I was at your age. You've done very well. I have no criticisms to make. If you continue to develop like this, you will become the top assassin on the continent. Then, my mother pulls out something in her sleeve. Here, take this. Now, you are more suited to it than I am. Is that the dagger Night Horn? Can I really keep it? I won't be using it anyway. Night Horn is made from a mysterious ore, so it has the ability to directly absorb material components. You can store all the toxins in the world. It can even mix the absorbed poisons and use them. Thank you, Mother. I will treat it well. Just as we were about to leave, a voice from the forest next caught our attention. It seems someone is in the forest. Let's hurry. Dane. Later, back in the castle, a man suddenly wakes up from a dream. Where am I? I was definitely eating mushrooms in the forest. You are finally awake. You are still being detoxified, so please don't move around. You ate a type of poisonous mushroom mushroom called Red Nose. If we hadn't found you in time, you would be dead by now. His belt had the insignia of the Nixon Magic Tower. It appears he is no ordinary person. If I didn't have Nighthorn at the time, perhaps I couldn't have saved him. Thank you. But where am I? This is the territory of Count Sogers, and I am Dane Sogers, the Count's youngest son. What? You're Arabella's brother? The genius watched by all the magic towers? But how did you find me? Actually, my mother and I were training in the forest. That dangerous forest? Even as an 8-chain great mage, I couldn't use magic properly there. Ancient magic, and damn traps everywhere. That forest is our property. The flow of mana there is different from normal. It is the worst place for a mage to be. On top of that, you are also in grave danger from the mushroom. But to think this boy trains in a forest like that. Did you make this antidote yourself as well? Of course. I can't believe someone so young could have such rich experience and knowledge. Does such a family really exist? One that has 3 geniuses surpassing generations. If there were a war now, the most powerful noble house in the Althean Empire would surely be the Sogers family. I am Sidrain Gauss, former master of the Nixon Magic Tower. To repay my debt to you, if there's any item you desire, just ask. Hearing this, I didn't show much interest. He must be talking about giving me something from his subspace. My reaction clearly confused him. Normally people would be surprised once they find out they are talking to the head of the Mage Tower, but I was not fazed at all. You won't have a chance like this again, so no need to hold back with your request. I'll think about it. Now please get some rest. I then turned and left. He was quite speechless, as it was his first time encountering such a person. It looks like I need to stay here a few more days. I need to observe this interesting fellow further. Later in the training grounds, he's an 8-chain mage and the head of the Magic Tower. Young master, that means a powerful figure is indebted to you. You know, a Magic Tower is like a nation, an independent territory on this continent. To think he would be that influential. Why would the head of a Magic Tower be wandering in a forest? It's no ordinary forest. Mages call it the Forest of the Last Days. Herman, prepare a new long sword for me. These swords are too short and too light. Of course, I will prepare a new sword for you tomorrow. Speaking of weapons reminded me of the insignia the Duke had given me when he left. 7 years have passed since that day. If I go to the capital, I must find a chance to visit him. Later, after finishing my training, my father greeted me. Father, I thought you had matters to attend outside the castle. Things ended earlier than expected. I rushed back because of the appearance of the head of a magic tower. Maybe he could help Arabella, taking her as an apprentice. However, I felt it was a bit difficult to ask, given my elder sister's fiery temper. In any case, you did good, Dane, saving another's life. My father and I returned home. From his words, I learned that my elder sister was choosing which magic tower to enter after the semester ended, while my second sister had been promoted to teaching assistant by a professor. They are both so impressive. I have the greatest expectations for you, given your many talents. I wonder how the world will handle you. I shared the same feelings as my father, but the thought of catching Duke Thermion off his guard already has me laughing. I can't help but be excited to cross blades with Duke Thermion once more, but I wonder how Layla is faring. Her last letter came about a year ago, but I guess I'll find out when I get to the capital. A few days later, Gauss is complaining about still not fully recovering. He cannot venture far for a few more days, and cannot use any magic. Later that day, he sat alone in the garden to clear his mind. I never expected these flowers to possess such extraordinary magic. You seem to be recovering well. I was told to stay here until I fully recover. I finally understand why those nobles all want to come here. It is quite the fine place to be. It is indeed an amazing place. Unfortunately, I will be leaving soon. Where are you headed? I'm planning to go to the capital to study, since both of my sisters went there as well. Gauss pondered how my magic would compare to my sister's. At that moment, Gauss used his magic to scrutinize me. This magical density is astonishing. If we call the geniuses among his peers a stream, then he is a raging river. But how can so much magic flow so steadily? Don't you think it's rude to assess someone's magic without permission? Of course, I apologize for that. Can a child really possess such a level of magic? What exactly did he see that shocked him so much? Why hasn't this density of magic formed a magic circle? This is impossible. He actually has 2 mana cores. With this density of magic, are you really only planning to study spearmanship? You'd be throwing away great potential. But can't I study both? This clearly frustrated Gauss, as if I didn't know something important. Do you know why magic swordsmen have such short lifespans? Their strength relies on having both a mana core and a magic circle, but these two are in conflict. Mana is compressed in the core and transmitted to the core. A circle that cannot handle this interaction will burst, ultimately killing the magic swordsman. Does lacking a magic circle mean you can't use magic? Not that you can't use it, just that you can't use magic of higher purity. There have been people who thought the same as you, but they all failed eventually. Then let me give it a try. I haven't done it yet, but it seems possible. As I rearranged the magical coating, the next second, a flame suddenly burst from my hand. It seems to have worked. Although it was only a basic 1-chain spell, the Tower Master showed an incredibly shocked expression. How is this possible? How can you use magic without a magic circle? Could this be what they call innate talent? It seems that even without a magic circle, I can still use magic. Innate magical affinity, coupled with such high purity of magical density. This guy is the real deal. Would you consider being my disciple? I immediately refused on the spot. Ignoring that kind of talent would be a great shame. Do you already know 2-chain magic then? I don't know the code, so I can't. That's great. As long as you become my disciple, you can immediately perform 8-chain magic. But I still refused. I didn't expect you to be so close to my son. But what were you discussing just now? This guy keeps asking me to be his apprentice, and I refused. Count Sogers, your son has the talent to become a great mage. He even used chain-level magic without a magic circle. Is that true, Dane? Yes, father. And here I thought you did not have any knowledge in magic. This is not just a matter of talent. Your son is a genius. He could even become a magic swordsman. Hearing this, my father's expression immediately tensed. This guy shouldn't have mentioned swords in front of him. How about it? Hand him over to me. I will make him the Empire's top magic swordsman. My son, Dane, will not become a magic swordsman. He will become a magic spearman instead. Why is everyone in this family a bit off? Later on, I have returned to my room, reading books related to mages. The term disciple has a significant meaning for a mage. Mages often cultivate successors through inheritance, a practice that has been handed down from ancient times. But I could see right away that the Tower Master was not just looking to take an apprentice but was searching for a successor. Given how fixated he was on me, perhaps my talents are indeed exceptional. After hearing so many praises, I could feel some power spinning inside me, and I suddenly remembered this issue might be something I could discuss with my sister. After all, my eldest sister gave me a crystal ball when she left. Just by infusing it with magic, I could contact her. Elsewhere, my eldest sister was sitting in the library when suddenly a voice rang in her ear. Sister, it's Dane. It was clear that she was happy to hear my voice. I told her that I had used magic without a magic circle, and even she found it hard to believe. I know your magical affinity is high, but I didn't expect it to be this great. The function of a magic circle is to cycle and purify magic, and the only reason this could be happening to you is that your magic is already pure enough. However, we'll need to test this. I will send a mana stone to your room. You just need to infuse it with your mana. If you can already use chain level magic, then you will attract more attention once you enter the academy. But you don't need to worry. If anyone dares to bully you, I absolutely will not let them off. Just then, the professor suddenly summoned Arabella, and my sister had to hang up the call abruptly. I never thought my mana was this pure. This could mean I am forging a uniquely new path. Meanwhile, in Gauss' room, what exactly do I need to do to get him to agree? Should I offer him some valuable items, or pass on my magic to him? No, if I get deceived, my loss would be too great. Are you inside? It's me, Dane Sogers. Yes, come in. I came to tell you something. So you've finally decided to become my disciple? I turned him down immediately. I want to learn the rearrangement of 2-chain magic. With my sister being far away, the best choice is Mr. Gauss, because he still owes me. I don't want to walk the path of a mage. I'll become a magic spearman, assassin, summoner, swordsman. That doesn't exist. But then, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Would you be interested in a letter of recommendation? If I write one for your academy, you would start off with a good reputation. It wasn't a bad offer, so I ended up agreeing. However, may I ask you one more thing? Can I learn the rearrangement code for 2-chain magic? Of course, that's entirely possible. Just when he thought he had finally succeeded in taking me as his apprentice, the next second, I changed my tone. With that said, I'm relieved. Then, our previous debt is settled. Didn't you say you owed me for saving you? What? Then you becoming my disciple won't be happening. I can't believe a 14-year-old kid has outsmarted me. But even so, I only owe you one favor, yet you've asked for 2 conditions. But I don't see it that way. After all, saving you and detoxifying you are 2 separate things. Hearing this, the Tower Master was left speechless. Later on, we decided to continue in the training grounds. It would be a waste to give up on such talent, so I'll help him to gain favor for the future. The 2-chain magic coding I am about to explain is very complex, and many people give up because they can't even manage this. So, you need to concentrate and listen carefully. Of course, I have no problem with that. Compared to 1-chain, 2-chain coding is on an entirely different level. You need to calculate the mana inside your body, the mana floating in the air, and even take your physical state into account. These are the reasons most people choose to give up. Do you understand all this? Of course, you really understood everything? Then tell me about the laws of magical arrangement. The first law is coexistence. Mana can coexist with matter and other forms of mana. Through coexistence, mages can harness their own and surrounding magic. The second law is conservation. If magic thoroughly absorbs the inherent characteristics of its surroundings, then through conservation, magic can manifest various elemental properties. It's important to note that the code exponentially becomes more complicated for every time the chain increases. Rather than explain, it's better to demonstrate. 1-chain magic can be cast using simple rules, but it's different starting from 2-chain magic. This is the rearrangement code for 2-chain magic. It seems this is much harder than the theory. Gauss even showed me the 2-chain code of Fire Arrow. If you want to increase the quantity, then you need to use this code multiple times. Doesn't it look complicated? Most people will take at least a year of practice before they reach 2-chain magic. Should I try as well? It'll be difficult, but alright. Activating my magic, I easily utilized a 1-chain spell. Gauss was clearly impressed with the results. At the same time, the 1-chain magic transformed into 2-chain magic right before our eyes. How is this possible? To understand the coding of 2-chain magic so so easily. When I observed it, I memorized its rules and patterns, and then recreated it in my mind. This guy is even more impressive than I was back then. Next, I'll try fire arrow. As I harnessed the magic around me, the next second, 4 flame arrows appeared in the air. To be able to do it this easily, if I had his talent, I would have become a 9th level great mage by now. A mage without a magic circle. This is going to shock the world. At least before he becomes my disciple, I must hide his talent. It seems I need to carefully consider how to write that letter of recommendation. Later in the night, I was back in my bed collecting my thoughts. In my previous life, I had to learn swordsmanship to survive. After all, learning magic was a luxury I could not afford. But this life is different. I have been taught by my elder sister since childhood, and I can even achieve significant growth in simple ways. Plus, now with the teaching of a former tower master, it makes me look forward to tomorrow's lessons. Half a month later, our current lesson was about reagent magic. We don't have any materials, so we need to go out of the territory to find some. You don't need to worry, he has already learned 4 rearrangement codes already. Doesn't it normally take a month to learn a new code? And information on magic reagents are hard to come by. I learned about from books in the library, and they caught my interest. If that's the case, then go ahead. Seeing the outside territories will be a good experience for you. And so, me and Mr. Gauss, along with Herman, rode our horses to town. Most of the citizens greeted me, offering me food and complimenting my hair, and I would cordially greet them in turn. From the attitude of the crowd, Mr. Gauss figured that the Count of Sogers seemed to be a very fine lord. How much longer is it to the magic supply shop? I've never been there myself, so I don't know for sure. So, I gestured to Herman to lead the way for us. We quickly arrived at the magic materials shop. Unexpectedly, the shopkeeper recognized me and Gauss immediately. Feel free to look around. If there's anything you want, I'll go look for it. Afterward, we each browsed the shop. It was filled with all sorts of marvelous items, but for some reason, being here felt strangely familiar to me. Moreover, I discovered something important. Whenever I touched the materials, a magical reaction occurred. Perhaps this was due to my high magic affinity. Just then, a disturbance nearby caught my attention. That area is for decorations. Why don't you come over here to look for ingredients together? Meanwhile, a stone behind me emitted bursts of mana. Yes, that's the feeling. The stone was clearly emanating mana. This stone is unusual. Strangely, this stone only reacted to me. The more magic I infused into it, the stronger its response became. Perhaps it only responds to my magic. Afterward, I asked the shopkeeper about the origin of the stone. A few years ago, a peddler gave it to me as payment. When I opened the parcel, it contained only this stone. Although I later had it appraised by a mage, the result confirmed it was just an ordinary rock. But to me, this clearly was not an ordinary stone. The shopkeeper then introduced me to a name card scroll. Just put the name card inside here, and it will automatically read and store the information on it. However, the stone was what piqued my interest. Then sell me the name card scroll and this stone. It's just a useless stone. Even the tower master found it very odd. However, I did not elaborate further. On the way back, Gauss wanted an explanation for why I bought the stone, as it was undoubtedly important. This stone is definitely not a normal decorative item. It clearly responds to my magic. If that's the case, this is indeed interesting. Let's hurry back to the castle to inspect more closely. We arrived back at the castle by sunset. Gauss and I were in the training grounds about to take a look at the stone. Can you really figure out what is with this stone? However, Gauss believed that his machine could analyze anything. After all, this is a tool I've developed at great expense over my lifetime. Whatever you put on it, it can analyze all its components. Without any hesitation, I immediately placed the stone on the machine. Once imbued with magic, the stone started to release mana in the room. Subsequently, the mana transformed into some codes. At that moment, both of us were stunned. This doesn't look like any normal magical coding, but rather an arrangement of rules and structures never seen before. It could rival 6-chain or even 7-chain code. It seems that the magic hidden in this stone can only be unlocked by your magic. Why does only my magic work on it? I am not familiar with the magic that is sealed within, but I still think it's worth a try to uncover its secrets. If you succeed, perhaps this will reveal why my magic is different from others. Meanwhile, in Arabella's laboratory, as I suspected, this is clearly not ordinary magic. Dane's inherent magic coding contains special codes not even I possess. While I am curious about which field of magic he is suited for, the results do not align with any known fields. Whether it's magical reagents, magic gates, or magical engineering, if it's none of these, then what could it be? She suddenly remembered that there was a magical domain code that had been lost. Dane's magic could be suitable for it. Where did I put it? Arabella searched her collection of books. Here it is. Alchemy, divination, spiritualism, necromancy, and even primitive magic code. Just then, a book that had fallen nearby caught her attention, an ancient magic book. Come to think of it, there was a magic kingdom a long time ago. There was even magic inherited from this ancient magic kingdom named Archana. But this was ancient magic 2,000 years ago. There is not going to be anyone that knows how to use it. I have nothing to lose. I'll also test if it is suitable for Dane's magic. Arabella started to analyze the magic in the book and Dane's magic. Mana and runes flying in the air. The next second, the detection results began to display some information. I wonder what it could be, but it would be great if it was not necromancy. This is unbelievable. unbelievable. Meanwhile, thanks to the tireless efforts of Gauss, the seal was finally broken. There's something inside. I can't feel anything special from this silver bracelet. Since it only reacted to your magic, you probably need to wear it. Upon putting it on my wrist, the bracelet suddenly started to glow. Then, text appeared on the bracelet. Seeing this, Gauss was shocked. These are ancient runes that no one in the world can understand. Yes, these are the characters used by the ancient magic kingdom of Archana. I suddenly remembered that my elder sister had once mentioned this kingdom to me. In that era, people's lives were closely linked to magic. But one day, the kingdom suddenly disappeared, leaving behind only some relics, stories, and now, this one line of magic code. I knew your magic would be special, but I never expected it to be related to the ancient magic kingdom. It seems that this is why I can move easily in the forest of the last days. After all, the origin of the magic in the forest is Archana. Anyway, this discovery of ours should be kept secret. But for now, we'll continue to research about your magic slowly in the future. Just then, a sudden alarm sounded that startled Gauss. What is that sound? Is it a monster attack? It's nothing like that. It's just my sister contacting me. When I was analyzing your magic code, I found out that. Did you also figure out that my mana is ancient magic? Hearing this, my elder sister was extremely shocked. How did you know? After a moment, I told my elder sister all about how things started. I didn't expect her to figure that out just by analyzing his magic. It seems her talent far surpasses what I had imagined. You must not leak this matter. We don't know the possible consequences. Our family could be endangered. But is this call being recorded? No. Once the call ends, the conversation will be deleted as well. Gauss commended her preparedness and informed her that he will be returning to the magic tower to further investigate their findings. But since we are already talking, have you decided on a magic tower that you will be joining? Not yet. However, I am also not considering the Nixon magic tower as it does not specialize in the field I am interested in. Alright then, Dane, we'll talk more later. The call ended as I said my goodbye. Your sister has become a great person. Of course, this artifact was actually made by her. A compact crystal ball for communication that is popular with the young mages. Right, but I have no use for such things. 8-chain mages don't contact people often. I could only smile in response, but it seemed like he doesn't have any friends. Later that day, I told my parents about this matter. If anyone targets Dane, I will make them pay dearly, and I will make sure they stay silent. They are both so dangerous, but there is nothing safer than the two of them protecting me. However, according to what Dane said, doesn't that mean our bloodline carries the lineage of ancient magic? That's a good point. I will check my family tree to see if there's any connection. In any case, Dane, if you continue to stay here, it might hinder your growth. You should consider going to the capital. You are 14 years old now, the minimum age to enter the academy. There isn't anything more you can learn if you stay here. Dane, you can leave whenever you want. I understand what you mean. I will prepare to enter the academy now. Later on, I've come to tell Gauss of my decision to enter the academy. That's a good choice. However, be careful not to reveal too much of your talents at once. Not everyone is so welcoming to talented individuals. Mediocre kids wouldn't even be able to keep up. However, House Thermion is a different story. Gauss referring to House Thermion had reminded me. I promised Layla that I would visit her in the capital. Also, that insignia. I should consider what weapon I would ask for. The enrollment starts in 3 months, so you should depart in 2 months. Meanwhile, before returning to the magic tower, there's something I need to do. I will let you know all about the ancient magic clues I've found. Given that we don't have much time left, let's start training 3-chain magic. I immediately thanked the tower master. Afterwards, I even gave him a gift. This is something my elder sister just developed, a new compact crystal ball that has not yet come out in the market. With this, you can contact me anytime. Later that night, I returned to my room. My interest lies in accumulating things. I'll try to see to it that I can formally study summoning, be issued a summon sign, and pass the examination. Since Claire is a professor's assistant, I should be able to see her often during classes. Seeing the familiar egg that I almost forgot about, I picked it up and slowly infused magic into the familiar egg. For 7 years, this egg has shown no change despite imbuing my magic to it every day. However, I believe that one day it will respond to me. In the following morning, I contacted my elder sister. From our conversation, I learned that entering the academy requires passing 2 admission tests. The first is a common exam, a type of pre-exam for insight. It focuses on the empire's history, culture, and general academics. The second is a specialization exam, meaning you must choose a major and take the exam, with the content decided by the professor. However, I think this will also be easy for you. You even have a recommendation as well. However, once you choose a major, you can't change it, so you have to stay with the major you picked for the specialization exam. So consider it carefully, but I'd prefer you to choose magic. I'll think about it, but is there really no way to switch to another major? Typically, that's the case. Unless you choose to return after graduating, then you can choose another major. But once you enter the 3rd year, it is generally not allowed for non-majors to participate in advanced courses of that major. It looks like I have to choose a single major then. That's correct. However, for someone that is as talented as you, there is an autonomous major system. There, you can freely take any major classes, but I don't recommend you try it, as no one has ever passed that test in recent years. Hearing this, I immediately felt very excited, and then I ended the call with my sister because Gauss had arrived. Here is the recommendation letter I promised you. I have never written a recommendation letter so sincerely. You should feel honored. I won't let you down. Anyhow, have you prepared to leave? Yes. Actually, I did not need to prepare much as the academy has the proper facilities already. Indeed, but keep in mind that some groups gained a monopoly over them. But don't worry, as long as you don't provoke them, there won't be any problems. From what I hear, the academy has become a place where nobles form their own gangs. And don't forget, students there will not hesitate to bare their fangs on you if they think you are looking down on them. In that case, it seems like it's somewhat similar to the battlefield. If you need anything, just contact me. Although your father has given me a position as a magic consultant, I have more important things to do before that. I thought I already accomplished everything I wanted, but that is not the case anymore. I think he must be referring to the ancient magic. In any case, I look forward to seeing you become even stronger next time. Then he turned and left, asking that I don't see him out. The following morning, my parents were conversing before seeing me out. It looks like Dane is preparing to leave today. I'm relieved that he's ready to go, but there shouldn't be any problems on the way there, right? He'll be using the teleport gate that Arabella prepared. There's nothing to worry about. That's true. I worry over nothing, it seems. That being said, we've done well as parents, don't you think? While other families' children are busy competing for inheritance, only our children get along well. One day, we will also have to make a choice for succession, but I think any of them would be fine. Just then, I greeted them as I entered the room. Dane, are you ready to leave? I see you are taking Nighthorn and the mark of our house. Of course, in case of emergencies, take the mark I gave you to the designated location. My former colleagues will help you. Dane, once you arrive in the capital, find the Duke immediately. He will help you enter the academy. You're all grown up now. Dane, let's send him off with a smile. Dear, I'll be off now. And so, me and Herman went off to the teleport gate. Gil-lad, follow him as discreetly as possible and see to it that he safely arrives at the portal. Meanwhile, my mother also issued the same instructions to her subordinate. Make sure nothing strange occurs when Dane uses the teleport gate. Shadow. I arrived at the portal with Herman. This was indeed the portal installed by Sister Arabella. Will it activate if you enter? Yeah, it will. It must have taken a great effort to set this up. Teleportation, like other magic, can only be used by arranging code properly. You must continuously inject magic during rearrangement to achieve teleportation, but Sister Arabella's portal is a device that meets all conditions. Then, please take care of yourself, young master. Alright, you take care as well, Herman. After saying goodbye to Herman, I slowly entered the teleportation device. Standing in the center, I injected magic into the device. The mana channeled itself and the teleportation gate opened. The portal emitted a dazzling light as I used the gate. The teleportation was a success, and I rode a horse to the entrance of the capital, Artania. This must be it. I have been waiting for you, Lord Dane Sogers. I am Luick Asmar, captain of the 1st Corps of Knights for House Thermion. From now on, I will escort you. We'll depart immediately. I had never thought I would come to the heart of the Althean Empire that I had detested in my previous life. That evening, I arrived at the Duke's manor. The estate is quite magnificent in size. However, there is this strange feeling, as if someone is watching me closely. Welcome, Lord Dane Sogers. The servants collectively greeted me. I, Dane Sogers, greet you, Duke Thermion. It's been a long time, Dane. The journey must have been tough. Come in and rest. You have drastically changed since we last met. Children your age cannot compare to how you have turned out. Your father would be very proud. This place may not compare to your home, but you should stay here comfortably before the academy's entrance exams. I will arrange for servants for you. If you need anything, you can tell me at any time. Of course, I will. But how has Layla been recently? She's fine. But did you have a fight with her? She seems unhappy whenever she mentions you lately. I'm not really sure. Perhaps the entrance exams are stressing her out. However, she will no doubt easily pass. I'll ask her about it when I see her next. I'm letting you know just in case. But be gentle. I didn't understand what he meant. You'll know soon enough. For now, you should retire to your room and rest. Afterward, led by a servant, I entered my room. It looks like I'll be staying here until the entrance exams are over. Just as I was about to settle in and look for the training ground, a figure appeared behind me. I'll take you to the training ground. But Dane, why did you take so long to come? You made me wait so long wondering when you'd come. It's been a long time. Layla, how have you been recently? Of course I've been doing well, but don't you have something you want to say to me? What do you mean? Why didn't you write to me? I was stunned for a moment. I've been too busy with many things recently, so I forgot. Maybe I can do something to make up for it. Alright, how about a light sparring match? You sure you won't regret it? I've gotten much stronger. I heard you even won a competition recently. That's right, the Dontir Cup hosted by the royal family. That competition was very intense. If you had participated, you would definitely have made it to the finals with me. But it's getting late today, so let's postpone the match until tomorrow morning. The next morning, we arrived at an open area. Initially, she wanted to use real weapons, but I immediately refused. What if someone gets hurt during the match? Don't worry, we have the best healers here. But what if the healers can't arrive in time? If you want to use real weapons, then you must be fully mentally prepared. It's just a sparring match. Why do you have to be so serious? Fine, we'll use practice weapons. She has indeed grown a lot. Perhaps she will become the first female leader in the history of the Thermion family. It seems that teaching her to release mana Savannah was a significant turning point. Thanks to Dane, I was able to learn the basics of how to wield magic much faster than others my age. I have also managed to form 2 mana cores as well. The butler brought the practice weapons. Because it's a practice weapon, it feels fairly light. Then, let us begin. Both sides entered a combat-ready stance. Layla was very confident. After all, she had defeated an opponent using a spear in the competition. As long as she closed the distance with her opponent, the spear's destructive power would greatly diminish. Layla suddenly charged forward, quickly thrust her weapon. However, she was left in shock. I had already disappeared from her sight, appearing to her side, catching her unguarded. When did you? You've lost. Layla, it's fortunate that these are practice weapons. Otherwise it could have been serious, but I'm sure my sword reached you. Then, let's go again. The same tactics won't work, so choose your moves wisely. I'm just nervous because it has been a while. I won't go easy on him this time. Layla noticed the Duke watching them from upstairs, and I assumed that he wanted to see our match for himself. I understand now. You are worried about Layla's pridefulness. I will alleviate that concern. Dane, since my father is watching, I will give it my all next. Layla was the first to strike, launching a fierce attack at me. Despite Layla's aggressive assault, I effortlessly defended against it. How about that, Dane? I'm not that simple, am I? Our weapons clashed in the middle. You are still far from your best. You haven't used your full strength yet. At this point, it appears that the two are evenly matched, but I am curious to see who will win. Since just now, Dane's smile has completely disappeared. Now, he looks more like a battle-hardened warrior. At this moment, Layla was launching an all-out attack on me. Suddenly, she seized an opportunity and made a fierce thrust at me. However, I easily dodged the strike with a sidestep. Countering her attack, I knocked Layla to the ground with a spear. It seems I've won this match too. Asmar, do you think this will temper Layla's arrogance? So you have noticed her attitude already. I'm well aware that ever since Layla won the championship, she has completely changed. Originally, I wanted to talk to her seriously, but considering it might be better if she realizes it herself, I decided to leave her alone. That is indeed a wise choice. How many mana cores do you think that boy has? It appears he has at least 3 mana cores. I think he has no more than 3 cores. Why do you think so? Take a closer look. Layla is not being overwhelmed by greater spearmanship nor speed. It is tactical movements that Layla has never experienced before. How did you block all my moves? Because your moves are too obvious. Don't you think his moves are very experienced? Just like a battle-hardened warrior. The period when Layla grew the most was right after we returned from the Southern Inspection Tour, which was after encountering Dane. I think this time will be the same. Even though Miss Layla won the Dantir Cup, she's really no match for Dane. It seems that Count Sogers has trained him rigorously, but the Duke disagreed. Although he is strict, he never trains others harshly. Besides, Dane doesn't need harsh training. He possesses a talent that surpasses ordinary people. Dane is a genius. Just then, Layla's weapon was once again knocked out of her hand, and the reason he didn't participate in the competition is probably because he's not interested in it. That kind of competition is something countless young men and women dream of, and he's not interested. At present, there is no one among his peers who can compete with him. Meanwhile, at this moment, Layla was kneeling on the ground, gasping for breath. I hope this match has made you realize your shortcomings. Layla, if you can change your arrogant attitude and use your swordsmanship more skillfully, I believe you can surpass your brothers. I didn't stand a chance at all. To think that the gap between our skills would be so big. You seem very tired. Let's stop here. I indeed lost. I hope Duke Thermion will be pleased. How exactly do you train? Diligently. Don't joke around. Who doesn't train hard? No, you have to work harder. Next time, I won't lose again. I look forward to that day. For Layla, I am her only peer that she admires, and also the one she wants to surpass. She wants to prove that she's not just a child who waits for guidance. But to Layla, I seem to be getting even further ahead in skill. The day of the entrance exam has arrived. This year, about 6,000 people registered for the exam. However, about 2/3 of the students would not pass the first test. Now, after the common exam, only 2,000 applicants are left, waiting for the specialization exam. Elsewhere, several faculty members were talking. They were curious about which students would pass the exam, speculating it would be 200 at most, but they have seen quite a few talented individuals. At this moment, Professor Denevo, the dean of the magic department, was curious about the results of the first test. Have the scores come out yet? They are still being tallied, but I wonder who will get the highest. Ingrid, the dean of spearmanship department, replied. The top scorer in the swordsmanship department should belong to the young miss from the Thermion family. It seems we can predict that this year's top student will likely come from the swordsmanship department, said Delfiniso, the director of the summoning department. Professor Esterand of the swordsmanship department spoke confidently. It's a foregone conclusion. After all, there is no competition. I don't agree with you. This is a recommendation letter bearing the seal of the Nixon Magic Tower. Are you saying that Gauss recommended someone? Yes, that Gauss, famous for not taking on apprentices, sent a recommendation letter. He says this child is only 14 years old and is already a 3-chain. Who is this guy? Dane Sogers. Another Sogers? The magic and summoning departments already have 2 geniuses, and now the youngest son has also been recommended by Lord Gauss. Sogers and Thermion, the enrollment of the 2 greatest houses in the empire at the same time. This will definitely grab the people's attention. Sogers is known for for its spearmanship, but from the Gauss letter, it seems this guy's magic is exceptionally strong. And here I thought the Sogers would certainly apply for spearmanship. If he joins our department, he and Arabella will definitely bring us immense help. Apologies for the interruption. Results of the first exam have now arrived. Swordsmanship Department, 1,367 passers. Magic Department, 227 passers. Summoning Department, 152 passers. As expected, Thermion is at the top of the Swordsmanship Department. That's odd. I don't see Dane Soger's name anywhere. Oh, there's an application to the Autonomous Major. The Autonomous Major? Also, Dane scored the highest among the 6,000 applicants in this exam. So, Dane is the first place? Back at the Thermion estate, I was in the training grounds pondering alone. I can't believe it's been over a month already, and the results of the first test will be out soon. Dane, the results just came out. What place did you get? Wow, it says I'm the top scorer. Not fair. How could I not get first place? How did you study? I focused on the questions my sister sent me. However, due to my previous life, I had the advantage for experiencing the exam situations myself. Why must they test us about war strategy and military management? I found that part easy. Actually, what is wrong with you? Not only military science, but art, music, and even history of the Draenic Empire. That's my specialty. That's because I learned and heard a lot of things in my previous life in the battlefield. In any case, what specialization did you choose? I chose 3. Wait, so you really applied for the Autonomous Major? Tell me honestly, what else do you know besides spearmanship and summoning? I'll tell you about that later. Why on earth did you choose the Autonomous Major? I can't understand your decision. Well, it's because I wanted to study all of them. The pass rate for the Autonomous Department is really low, but I heard that if you choose the Autonomous Major, you're not limited to studying just one field. I can also do research with professors from all departments. The next day, 3 professors are discussing the examination. It seems like we've all gathered in one place. It can't be helped that Sogers passed the exams for our departments, spearmanship, magic, and summoning. Although some have passed 2 tests under the Autonomous Major, most fail even the first test. It's been 200 years since the Autonomous Major was created, yet almost no one has ever passed all the tests. Initially, the tests were not so difficult. Hundreds of years ago, the Academy was desperate for talent, so they wouldn't let any potential go to waste. But now it's different. The Academy's requirements for talent have increased, and applicants prefer to focus their efforts on one discipline. But why does this department still exist? After all, no one has ever managed to pass the tests. Because it's a symbol of the Academy, a symbol that only the Empire's finest talents can aspire to. I looked it up, and in the past 100 years, there have only been 2 passers. One had dropped out voluntarily, and the other was a former emperor. This means that unless you're a true genius, achieving even a passing grade is impossible. If it's the youngest of the war hero Arkan Sogers, because he's not from an ordinary family, we can have high expectations, but perhaps he's just an arrogant fellow. For the honor of the Academy, we cannot make concessions for him. Let's see what this child, who dares to challenge the symbol of our Academy, can do. It is now time for the specialization exam. In front of me are the 3 deans of the departments I want to join. I am Dane Sogers, who applied to the Imperial Academy's Autonomous Major program. Do you understand what it means to apply for this major? Of course, I need to pass the exams of the 3 majors I chose. I have great respect for Count Sogers, as he is the Empire's strongest spearman. You still have a choice. I don't want to see a hero's son return in failure. Thank you for your kindness, but I intend to give it my all. The exam will be conducted in 3 different types based on the chosen disciplines. If you fail any one of them, you will be considered to have failed them all. I am aware of all this. Let's start with the summoning test then. The head of the summoning department, Delphiniso, stood before me. She is said to be the pinnacle of all summoners in the Althian Empire, holding the record for simultaneously summoning 3 second-rank summons. The test for the summoning discipline is very simple. You just need to make me acknowledge your summoning skill. As expected, this was an unstructured free-form exam. Then, could I request you summon something? Any summon will do. How could an applicant ask the professor for a summon? You are insolent, but interesting. This is not something you can see often, so pay attention. Delphiniso slowly gathered her mana. Answer my call. Huge amounts of mana was being released. A massive summoning gate appeared before everyone. Simultaneously, a powerful force of magic instantly blasted everyone nearby away. Even the other 2 professors showed an expression of disbelief. That's the mad summon, Eterarch. Eterarch roared ferociously. What an unpleasant howl. Eterarch is the most vicious among the 4th rank summons, and he's famous for attacking anyone except the summoner on sight. It seemed things are going to be a bit interesting for this entrance exam. Come on, I've just summoned a beast as you requested. What do you plan to do now? Seeing this, I remained calm and composed. Eterarch is a very fierce creature. Even multiple dual-class knights have difficulty defeating it. Can he really handle this kind of summon? What exactly is he trying to do? At that moment, I slowly approached Eterarch. I just need to prove my abilities, right? But I didn't ask you to put yourself in danger. Don't worry, that won't happen. Then, I just quietly watched Eterarch. Eterarch gradually lowered its guard, and then became exceedingly submissive towards me. That's a good boy. Did he really tame the summon that easily? That's a mana thread connected to the summon. Although it's faint, it completely neutralized realized Eterarch's hostility. Did he analyze the mana thread of Eterarch in the moment he approached and then established a similar mana thread with it? Since he has no summoning mark, this is the best method for him as a summoner. With such extraordinary talent, his future is truly something to look forward to. You have demonstrated strong courage, calm judgment, and solid fundamentals. Clearly, you have passed the test. As she says, the other deans said in unison. Thank you. You passed the test in just 30 minutes? Then you must be the top student this year. But you got first place in the swordsmanship department. I didn't expect the gap between us to be this big. Then, Layla left the area, clearly disheartened. Just then the Duke found me. You don't have to worry too much. Layla will overcome these challenges. By the way, have you told your father yet? He will be very pleased. Everyone at home is very happy. Now that the exams are over, you can rest and prepare for enrollment. Thank you for your care, Your Grace. Have you decided what you're going to make at the forge? I'm thinking of a sword, but I haven't decided yet. Why not? Because my body is still growing, and I'm not sure what kind of sword I want, so I want to think over such a great opportunity. Very well, Your Grace. You should go see the Duchess. Then I'll go now. The Duchess seems to have not improved at all. It's unfortunate. I've never seen family be so sick, so I don't dare claim I understand how Layla feels, but I should go comfort her soon. 2 days later, the enrollment ceremony is now being held. Greetings, freshmen of the Imperial Academy. I am the Academy's headmaster, Arkwald Homet. After seeing you all, I can believe that the future of the Empire to be very bright. All of you standing here are certainly the Empire's elite, especially the new students among us who have many outstanding talents. There's even someone who passed the autonomous major exam, which no one has passed for over 100 years. This student received a passing remark from the deans of the magic, spearmanship, and summoning department. Did someone really pass that test? What kind of talent does he have? Top student, Dane Sogers, step forward. Is he the one who passed the autonomous major exam? You've really raised an exceptional son. The 2 sons I raised are of no use at all. Their sister is enrolling, but those 2 didn't even come by. The eldest is on a mission, and the second ran off. On the contrary, you have 2 sensible daughters. Don't you have Layla too? If only my wife could come too. Dane has shown great innate friendliness with summons from a young age. He truly is a genius. Even without a summoning sigil, he performs so excellently. With Dane's level of friendliness, could he summon monsters from beyond the horizon? Beyond the horizon. That's the summoning world that disappeared hundreds of years ago. It's possible. After all, the summoning creatures there can choose their summoner. So you are Dane, right? I hope you can fully utilize your talents here at the Academy. Yes, Headmaster. I finally entered the Academy. It took quite a bit of time, but I won't waste this new life I've been given. It's only just beginning. In the Academy main auditorium, introductions have just been finished. Listen, Dane, there will be many who will have their eyes on you, so you should always stay alert. I will keep that in mind. Seniors will invite everyone to join clubs during our break times. From the letter from Big Sister, I know there are many interesting clubs here. Just then, a group of people suddenly appeared in front of us. They all wanted me to join their clubs. Upon seeing this, Layla immediately grabbed my hand and ran. Join the Physical Beauty Club. Join the Map Exploration Club. Only the best are here at the Astrology Club. Before long, Layla herself became a target. Meanwhile, Kelthas Redfield was slowly walking through the academy. It is said that he became a professor here after retiring from being the commander of the Imperial Knights. But he must be very troubled now, since it's been over a decade since anyone has joined the autonomous department. His comfortable life is now over, needing to prepare for classes. I didn't expect my comfortable life to be disrupted. Why did a qualified candidate have to appear now? Just then, Kelthas noticed me standing in front of his office. Are you Dane? You arrived quite early. Hello, Professor. Nice to meet you. Then, the professor invited me inside. Kelthas had a lot on his mind. I worked so hard to get here. I came here to rest, not teach students. Why did you choose the autonomous department? So that I can study whatever I want. Don't you plan to choose a specific field? Yes, but I don't want to give up this rare opportunity. Hearing this, the professor fell into thought. If it continues like this, I'll have to dutifully provide guidance. But he realized I didn't take the swordsmanship exam. Do you know anything about swordsmanship? I don't mean to disparage you, but since you've entered the autonomous department, I think that you should know something about swordsmanship. This guy doesn't seem very welcoming. It's not like I'm not interested in swordsmanship. That's great. How about we conduct a test right now? That's no problem at all. Then next, I'll take you to the training field. I have the authority to evaluate this student. All I have to do is use his poor swordsmanship as an excuse to make him leave. We arrived inside the training room. There are many types of swords. Just pick one you like. How can there be a training room here? Then, I selected my weapon. If you hit me once with that sword, you pass. To make it easier, I will not move more than 2 steps. Alright, I understand. Kelthas felt something was amiss. This guy agreed to my terms without hesitation. Is he that confident? The battle started and I launched an attack on him, thrusting at his body. Kelthas immediately dodged to the side. I didn't expect this guy to be so fast. At the same time I swung the long sword, aiming for the professor's neck. What on earth? Kelthas managed to block the slash. If I had been slower just now, it would have been troublesome. He actually uses such irregular swordsmanship. Does he already know how to wield the sword? And it's like he's a seasoned warrior. Such a posture is not typical of a knight or a noble. Dashing side to side, I launched another attack. Every attack of mine, the professor blocked very seriously. How does this make sense? As a hexa class knight, I'm focusing so intensely on a kid. There wasn't even a need to give him a handicap. I rushed forward, and this had reminded Kelthas of something. Years ago, while the war was still ongoing, to think the Draenic Empire has such a courageous person, but I don't see anything that symbolizes a knight. Just who on earth is this? At this moment, I had outmaneuvered him, striking his abdomen with my sword. Oh my mind had wandered. It seems I've hit you. Seeing this, Kelthas had no choice but to declare that I had passed the test. That would have been difficult without the handicap, as expected of the captain of the Imperial Knight Order. What kind of monster is this kid? This guy is truly a genius among geniuses. Even if there was a handicap, he wasn't pushed back against a hexa class like me. I finally understand why he didn't need to take the swordsmanship test. With such talent, why didn't you apply for the swordsmanship department? It's because I don't want to make my family sad. His family has talents in spearmanship, magic, and summoning. Could it be he chose these three majors not to let his family down? So it didn't mean he was confident in swordsmanship. It was a noble reason after all. Now that the assessment is over, I will be going back. Thank you, Professor. It looks like my plan to drive him away has failed. Just then, an image flashed through his mind. A soldier once told me that man is named Argrick. Argrick? Huh, I'm sure that's his name. Currently, I am talking to my sister Claire in the school grounds. You really passed his test. Professor Kelthas isn't someone who would pass anyone. You know, that professor only ever attended one meeting, and that's only when the headmaster personally calls him over. He really hates being bothered, but it's a relief nothing happened to you, Dane. Sister Claire never says as expected of Dane. She's just relieved by the fact that I'm safe and sound. Oh my, Dane, I've been trying to look for you. I heard you passed the test, right? We continued to happily converse with each other as the other kids started to gossip amongst themselves. Later on, I am being toured in the dormitory. My name is Max Hoare. I'm in charge of all the general operations of the dormitory. The dorms are divided into 3 halls, and students are assigned based on their grades. The best among them is this one, the Dontir Hall, which is named after the first emperor. You will be staying here. Here we have a dining hall, training room, library, lounge, and magic projection room, and there are even some secret facilities. It's unlikely to happen, but sometimes students cannot stay here due to their grades. By the way, Arabella and Claire, they remained here in Dontir Hall until they graduated. Then, he handed me the key. There are many students here who like to play pranks, so please be careful. If necessary, you can contact me through the crystal ball. Walking alone along the corridor of the tower, I felt something odd. It was too quiet here, as if it was uninhabited. Let me spread out my senses. Then, my mana filled the corridor and I started to notice the small details in the room. The scent of lubricating oil, the very subtle sounds of turning gears. It's a trap, so that's it. Hazing. Meanwhile, everyone was secretly watching me. Has he already discovered the trap? That's absolutely impossible. You should know that our colored family has been a distinguished line of hunters for hundreds of years, and we are very confident in our traps. Arnold Colored, the eldest son of Baron Colored and a third-year student in the shooting department, declared confidently. Wouldn't it be dangerous? Naturally, I removed all the danger. He'll just be made a fool of. This is our first time hazing someone, but he's from the Sogur's family. Could there really be no problem? So what? We've all gone through this. It's practically tradition, but I think it'll be different this time, considering he's the top student and the passer of the autonomous department. After all, his 2 sisters are geniuses, and considering he's in the autonomous department, he's likely a genius among geniuses. Priscilla Nerial from House Nerial, a 4th-year student in the theology department, had warned this group. There's no way he could sense my traps. They are painted over and lubricated. You can't see nor hear it. At that moment, I slowly walked forward. A wire trap right from the start. Just a flick with some magic should do. A water balloon started to fall from a trap door, but instantly exploded. Water, really? At the same time, a trap door on the ground opened suddenly, releasing an unpleasant odor. These are just childish traps. How did he discover the trap? But just wait and see. He'll definitely fall for the next one. Yes, he will definitely make a mistake. Let's trust Arnold. Meanwhile, I continued down the hallway. The next part is too sloppy. Should I just break through them all at once? I rushed down the hallway confidently. First, it was boxing gloves that were easy enough to dodge. Then a pitfall filled with feathers and wooden spikes that would pin me in the ceiling. How does he know the location of all the traps? It's too early to give up now. He can't dodge the final trap. What is the last trap? You'll see in a moment. Just then, a huge red dragon appeared before me. Summons this time? Quite strong ones too, but I quickly realized something was off. These are all illusions. No wonder they seem so powerful. An ordinary student might have run away by now, but there's nothing to fear. Just disrupt their mana flow, and they'll cease to exist. Why isn't he running? It looks like he's gathering mana. Did he realize in an instant that these are illusions? This is outrageous. It looks like we've lost. As I released a burst of magic, the next second, all the illusions disappeared without a trace. This is really boring. Next, let me find out where you all are hiding. Moments later, everyone scattered in panic from the room. Run away. It's an Etharak. Why is that thing here? Then the Etharak I summoned roared loudly. So, you all were hiding here. Did you do this? We'll apologize. Just get rid of this thing. Hearing this, I immediately channeled my mana, and I dismissed the Etharak track that I had summoned. Seeing this, everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. It looks like the initiation ritual failed. Welcome, I'm Droyan Valentine, a 5th-year student in the alchemy department, and the sole direct heir of the Valentine Marquis family. My name is Dane Sogers. Your skill at avoiding traps is quite impressive. I heard you chose the autonomous department. That's why the traps were useless. Huh. Arnold looked particularly disappointed. Arnold is the heir of the famous hunter-colored family. He's also the mastermind behind these traps. So, he's the designer of these traps? Then, Droyan introduced me to everyone in turn. This is Priscilla, a 4th-year student in the theology department, and you better not mess with her. For someone aspiring to be a priest, she's pretty kind and beautiful, right? Priscilla interrupted. Nice to meet you. I am Priscilla Neriel, the abandoned child of my family. This is because I joined the theology department, hence I am unable to be married. From now on, I hope to learn much from you. Then, she shook hands with me amiably, but she was suddenly greatly shocked. Why is your mana so dense? How could someone our age possess this much mana? It's truly unbelievable. Nice to meet you, Dane. My name is Scal Hespero, and I am a 2nd-year student in the martial arts department. I'm not one of those guys who only train their muscles. He means those guys. Muscles are important, but martial arts can't be mastered through big muscles. If you're interested in martial arts, I could teach you. Now, only one person had yet to introduce himself. My name is Arnold Colored. Nice to meet you. He seems to be upset with how I treated his traps. Maybe I should compliment him. They are excellent traps. You seem to really understand trigger mechanisms and factors. However, your paint was too obvious. Next time, try mixing F3 silver and D6 black instead of F6 black at a 4:6 ratio. That way, the brightness won't be so noticeable. I guess you were right. Besides that, it's a trap anyone could fall into. He's teaching Arnold about traps. Then, everyone led me to my room. These people are really interesting. It feels nice to make some decent friends. Things are getting more and more interesting. Later, Layla found me. You've chosen 6 majors this semester, including educational courses. Freshmen usually take up to 4 courses. You should think about dropping some while you still can. I think I can manage. That's why I also added general education courses and military studies. Well, alright, I'll see you later in swordsmanship class. I'm off to attend my general education class. What class are you taking? Understanding cosmetics and skin. Got it. I'll see you later. Entering the classroom, everyone was buzzing with curiosity about my arrival, and embarrassingly, I could hear everything they were saying. Introduction to military studies. From what I read yesterday, there were parts 1 new and parts completely opposite to actual practice. Granted, if everything was the same, there wouldn't be any competition. Yet the reason they teach military studies is that theory is just that fundamental. Just then, the professor finally showed up. Welcome everyone. My name is Francisco Gavius, and I will be your instructor for the military theory course. You can call me Professor Gavius. I could tell at a glance that this professor was a seasoned veteran on the battlefield. Theory is the foundation for understanding the field. Recognizing its discrepancies with reality helps grasp the true purpose of military theory. What do you think is the most important aspect in war? I raised my hand immediately, and the professor called for me to answer. Logistics. Excellent answer. Victory, triumph, and glory. All of these are only possible with secure logistics. It's surprising that someone got it right from the start. So, do you know what the 3 most important aspects of the supply process are? The first is strict military supply management. From the center to the front line, it's not just a matter of distance. It involves an extensive system. It's human greed causing shortages. Based on my past life experience, even if materials are transported properly, someone in the middle always schemes off the top. Well answered. What's next? The standardization of supplies. If the specifications, quantities, weights, etc. of supplies are standardized, mass production becomes possible. This greatly aids rapid logistics and is key to maintaining the combat effectiveness of frontline troops without loss. My answers were surprising to my classmates, that my answers were not even found in the books. Correct again. What about the last point? It's local production. The longer a war drags on, the more the first 2 points are often neglected, leading to lower quality of logistics. So, the third point is about enabling soldiers to achieve minimal sufficiency. Although the quantity and quality would significantly reduce, it's sufficient for emergency rations. Everything I've said is based on what I've seen and felt directly from the battlefield. At this, the students showed looks of disbelief. How could a freshman know this? Your answers remind me of soldiers or officers who had truly experienced battle. There is no way you have combat experience. How do you know this? My father told me these. I am Dane Sogers, from the Sogers family. You are the son of the Blue Whirlwind. That explains it. No wonder you're nothing like the freshman before. Everyone, listen carefully. The essence of what we need to learn is in the answers given by student Dane. Using the theories in textbooks as a base and applying appropriate theories to real life is the ultimate goal of military studies. Dane Sogers. It's been a long time since someone truly exceptional joined. Later, after the class, I was walking away somewhat relieved. I almost got coerced into going to graduate school. The professor called me out as soon as the class ended to recommend me to continue to graduate school. Luckily, my older sister had warned me before, if someone recommends that you enter Imperial Graduate School, leave immediately. However, the professor seemed like someone who wouldn't give up so easily. Next, Next, I should meet Layla at the central fountain square. Cutting through the mist garden will be the fastest way. The Garden of Mist. Even with a little cloudy weather, visibility becomes limited as if shrouded in mist, making it very easy to get lost and wander around. It's already a vast garden, and with the mist added, it's a place everyone avoids. On top of that, there's even a rumor that ghosts appear at night. But as soon as I arrived at the mist garden, I heard someone calling for help nearby. Someone, anyone, please help me. Without any hesitation, I immediately headed towards the source of the sound. After a while, I finally found him. Thank you. I thought I'd be stranded here for good. Alright, are you hurt anywhere? Nope, just a little tired, but I'm fine. I'm Ernest Dillon, a first-year student in the exploration department. The Dillon barony? That's a family from the West, right? Their crest was a skiff and a sailor, isn't it? You actually know about that family. Our family has been exploring the seas and unknown lands for generations. I'm really surprised you know about our family. What's your name? Dane Sogers. What? Aren't you the first autonomous department student in decades? Yep, that's me. I've always wanted to meet you. Though he claimed he wasn't hurt, what about the injuries on his body? It was clear these weren't injuries from exploring. Were you exploring the garden? That's right. Exploring excites me. Everything new is an exploration for me. Look at these. My goal is to explore every corner of the academy. I'm sure there must be something in the mist garden, otherwise, it wouldn't form fog every cloudy day. Indeed, but have you found anything? Nothing yet, but I believe there is some kind of power in the garden that no one has yet discovered. We can't know for sure, but we can hypothesize. Suppose, what if it's the power of a lost ancient kingdom, or a force arising from something beyond the horizon? Relics of an ancient kingdom. That indeed is intriguing. You think so too, right? I really want to uncover that secret. Oh right, I was on my way to class. Oh, I see. Sorry, let's get out of here. But then, the sky suddenly began to pour heavily. We must leave here. The rain causes the fog to rise faster, making it easier to lose our way. You'll lose your sense of direction. Even the compass isn't working properly. Can't you use your exploration skills to get out of here? Normally I could, but there are unknown forces at work in this place. My body is getting heavier and heavier. I'm sorry, Dane. This is all because of me. This fog seems familiar. Actually, I strangely feel energized. Could it be? I'm so sorry, Dane. Then, a bright light caught the eye of Ernest. The fog was being absorbed into my body. Such immense magic power. The fog started to disperse. Dane, what exactly is happening? Ernest, let's go. I think I know the way out. How did you figure it out? Maybe I can even uncover the secrets of this place. The mist has been a problem for countless of mages, but Dane is walking through it with no problem, even clearing away the fog. This guy is truly fascinating. We're almost there. Isn't this the center of the Garden of Mist?